Eastern Kentucky. This is WYMT Mountain News at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. Severe storms producing tornadoes have already caused damage today in parts of Kentucky. We'll have more on that in a moment. But first, how bad will it get here tonight? Chief Meteorologist Andrew Dockery begins our Severe Weather Alert Day coverage. Andrew?
Well, Steve, the good news is right now I do think the threat is starting to weaken as far as severe storms for later tonight. The reason being some of those showers now taking place, and you'll see that's kind of using whatever energy is very limited out there. Let's take a look at Pinpoint Doppler. Notice some rain showers working through. These stronger storms still up to the north, which we continue to watch. Notice many severe thunderstorm warnings around the Cincinnati metro area. We push down to the southwest, and a few isolated storms going to be something we watch as they work into portions of eastern Kentucky, but they still have a long way to go and more clearing right now along the Louis B. Cumberland Parkway and more shower activity. What's important to know is while there is still not as many storms, a slight risk is still issued along with that wind advisory, which goes until 1 a.m. for tomorrow morning, and that is because we are going to be looking at those wind speeds really cranking up. In fact, as we take a look at some of the winds, you'll notice they're anywhere from 15 to 30 miles per hour. Factor in wind gust, and this is what will cause issues tonight, Steve. When you get wind gusts of 40 plus, 50 plus, not even associated with storms, you think of power outages, down trees, and some possible problems. That's going to be what we're watching overnight tonight. Of course, more on that coming up in a few short moments.
All right, thank you very much, Andrew. It's been windy all day already, and strong winds uprooted a tree this morning in Perry County. We could have, as Andrew just mentioned, a lot more of this tonight. Now, here's a picture sent to us from weather spotter Shane Engel of that tree that came down earlier. Remember, if you have storm damage near you tonight and can do so safely, please share those with us on Facebook, Twitter, or by email. Again, your safety should come first, though. High winds in Louisville damaged a parking garage at Norton Women and Children's Hospital today. This happened around 12:30, but there's no actual structural damage. Crews at the scene said the exterior panel was just peeled away by the wind. They're keeping an eye on it to make sure no more damage is done. Traffic was directed away from the parking garage all day as a safety precaution. This is the second to last day of the legislative session. A bill meant to crack down on tobacco use at schools is moving forward. That bill now heads to the Senate. Hillary Thornton was at the Capitol today as lawmakers worked on those last-minute bills.
Well, it is the next to last working day for lawmakers here this legislative session. Obviously a busy day, and there's one bill in particular that seemed to not be going anywhere that's now suddenly making a sprint for that finish line. House Bill 11 passed out of its first committee back on February 7th. From there, a bit of a holdup began with several floor amendments filed, ultimately passing the full House with 2 of those amendments earlier this week. Today, getting a needed Senate committee hearing passing out of that. This bill aims to ban all tobacco and vaping products on school property. That includes for staff members and visitors. It is something that has been tried before in the legislature. The bill's sponsor, Representative Kim Mosier, believes it gained needed traction this year because of the concern over the uptick in tobacco use in teens, specifically with vaping. Changes in the 2 amendments getting the bill the support it needs. One of those will give school systems an option to opt out of the ban during the first 3 years after the law goes into effect. No one spoke against the bill today. Some senators did raise a few concerns, one using the example of crowded Friday night football games on school property, questioning who would enforce the ban among parents. Still, the bill passing out unanimously.
I'm not convinced that kids really understand that Juul pods contain the same amount of nicotine as a pack of cigarettes. I'm not convinced that teenagers really understand what nicotine does to their brains, that it really lays that foundation for future addictions.
After they finish up today, lawmakers will break for the veto period before coming back together on March 28th. For now at the state capitol, Hillary Thornton, WKYT.
Of course, we'll pass along any developments tonight on WYMT.com. The murder trial of Shelby Shell is coming to a close in Bell County. Shell is accused of killing former Everett's Mayor Ronnie King in Harlan County in 2013. The defense continued calling witnesses this morning, and at last check, closing arguments were still underway. The jury could begin deliberations shortly. Of course, we'll keep you updated here and on WYMT.com. Now to a warning for parents and grandparents from undercover drug agents. Dealers are using plastic baggies with cartoon characters on them to carry their deadly drugs, and officials say it's no accident. In Carter and Greenup counties this week, agents took in more than $90,000 worth of crystal meth. It's a huge amount, more than a pound of the purest meth they've seen in several years. It would have stayed a secret except for the packaging. The frozen characters were on some of the baggies. Agents say they find no humor in it.
Because of the potential for abuse, an accidental overdose. It's not funny. And ironic, yeah, you know, the characters were meant, obviously, for children, but to turn around and use this as a branding, it's pretty despicable, to be honest.
While agents say the bust happened in Greenup County, they have no idea where the drugs were heading. So if you see an empty baggie with frozen characters on the playground or along the road, agents say don't panic, but don't touch it either. Governor Bevin's plan to require some Medicaid recipients in Kentucky to work for benefits was back in federal court today. Kentucky was one of the first states to be granted a waiver by the Trump administration last year, allowing for changes to Medicaid. After today's oral arguments, the judge will have until April 1st to reach a decision. That's when the work requirements are scheduled to go into effect. Governor Bevin has threatened that if the program is struck down, he would end the state's Medicaid expansion that was implemented through the Affordable Care Act. Despite a veto threat from the White House, the Senate voted to pass the resolution of disapproval to strike down the president's national emergency declaration for the border wall. The vote came after a last-ditch effort by some Republicans on a compromise fell through. The resolution passed with 12 Republicans joining Democrats. One of them was freshman Utah Senator Mitt Romney.
Congress has spoken. The president can't overrule the decision of Congress.
Whether it's positive or not, I'm vetoing it.
And now the president made that statement during an Oval Office meeting with the Prime Minister of Ireland. Within minutes of the vote, President Trump tweeted the word veto in all capital letters. Kentucky will learn who their opponent will be in the SEC tournament later tonight. WYMT has a crew in Music City as Kentucky looks for another SEC title. WYMT's Will Puckett is live outside Bridgestone Arena with our Big Blue coverage. Will?
Steve, as fans start to swarm out of Bridgestone Arena after the first round of games here on this Thursday, you can see it all across Fifth Avenue and Broadway that Big Blue Nation is in town as SEC basketball tournament action heats up. Now, they were swarming the area outside of the arena to taking over restaurants on Broadway. UK fans are hoping for yet another SEC championship. However, it is well documented that Coach John Calipari doesn't think that SEC or conference tournaments matter that much. And well, for Big Blue Nation, they seem to agree.
I think we're concerned about national championships, but the SEC is a nice kind of icing on the cake, in my opinion.
I want Reed Travis to play a little bit, get healthy, get his feet under him, and then I'll be excited for the real tournaments.
I mean, I'd rather win the NCAA tournament, so after so many SEC tournaments, and I'd rather have number 9 than I would 50 or 60 of these.
Now, all of these Kentucky fans are, of course, enjoying their time in Nashville, but they're thinking about another American city, Minneapolis, where the NCAA Final Four and National Championship will take place at the beginning of April. Steve, I'll have much more at 6, but first, Willie Hope will have more from Nashville at 5:30 in our sports. For now, in Nashville, Will Puckett, WYMT Mountain News.
All right, Will, thank you very much. And it's once again time for Hoops Hysteria on WYMT.com and your chance to play our NCAA tournament bracket game. You can also compete against some of the WYMT staff and win a 65-inch smart TV. A $1 million prize will be awarded nationally if someone correctly picks all the games. You can register now and fill out your bracket as soon as the pairings are announced on Selection Sunday. You have until 15 minutes before the first NCAA tournament game on March 21st to sign up. A major announcement today in Georgetown. Toyota says it will invest millions in new projects, including new manufacturing opportunities here in Kentucky. The company says it will be adding 2 hybrid vehicles to the production line at the Georgetown plant. They will make the Lexus ES300 hybrid and this car, the RAV4 hybrid.
Well, strong storms, severe storms up to the north in northern Kentucky into southern Ohio. That extends all the way down across Interstate 65. The question is, how long will they take to get to eastern Kentucky? The answer coming up in 3 minutes.
Also coming up here at 5:30, an American astronaut is getting his second shot at getting into orbit after a harrowing first attempt.
Utilizing inmate labor comes as a benefit for the Laurel County Jail. We'll have more details coming up next.